ANC, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SABC, viva! Viva SANCO, viva! Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live! Long live the spirit of John Langalibalele Dube, long live! Long live the spirit of Nontsikelelo Albertina Sisulu, long live! Long live the spirit of O.R. Tambo, long live! Amandla! Deputy President of the African National Congress, the national officials of the ANC, members of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, former President Jacob Zuma, leaders of the ANC Women's League, leaders of the Veterans League, leaders of the Youth League, the leaders of the Alliance, SACP, COSATU, and SANCO, traditional leaders who are here with us, Okumkani, Namakosi, Agiti, representatives of fraternal parties, leaders of faith-based organizations, comrades and friends and fellow South Africans, Sanbonan, Dumela, Abhishek, Molweni, Khuyemeda, Lochani, Dimacherun. Siyajabula ukuba lapha eThekwini, lapha kwaZulu Natal. Sibonga amalungu e-ANC neinkokheli ze-ANC lapha kwaZulu Natal for having organized such a most wonderful and beautiful moment of celebration. Comrades, sihle sikalala, siyabonga umsebenzi omuhle owenzileyo ukuthi sibe lapha. Sihlangane la namhlanje ukuzogubha iminyaka e107 kwasungulwa inhlangano kaKhongolose. We are here to really celebrate the birth of the ANC, but also to thank our forebears for having established such a glorious movement that has won the hearts and the minds of many South Africans. Sifike lapha kwaZulu Natal la kuzalwa khona umongameli wokuqala we-ANC uJohn Langalibalele Dube. iKZN iphinde futhi ibe ikhaya lamaqhawe amaningi alwela inkululeko yabantu baseNingizimu Afrika. Okuphezi kwaloko namhlanje silapha eKZN, abantu balapha eKZN babonisa wonke abantu abahlala la eSouth Africa ukuthi ngempela iKZN ilikhaya le-African National Congress. Silapha futhi sikhumbula kulonyaka ngoba inyaka welikhulu neminyaka e-14 kwahlulwa amangesi kwimpi yasesandlwana ngonyaka ka-1879. Amangesi ahlulwa la amabutho esilo ucetshwayo. Namhlanje sikhumbula ukuhlulwa by our mabutos here of what was then the most powerful empire force in the whole world. Bathi abanye babeyichaza lempi bathi ilanga lashona emini bakulwiwa eqedwa amangesi abantu bakithi belwela umhlaba wabo. Namhlanje we dip our heads in memory of the gallant warriors who fought for the freedom of our country. We have come here also on the 140th anniversary, on the 125th anniversary of the formation of the Natal Indian Congress to reaffirm the strength of united action and our undying commitment to a non-racial South Africa. We remember these moments in our history because they essentially describe who we are as a movement and as a people. These moments have molded our identity. They have formed our values, our principles, and our aspirations. These moments that we recall, moments of great struggles that were fought in the past, have also consolidated the foundations of the unity of the African National Congress. They remind us that we are on a long, arduous journey from a past of division and despair into a future of justice and equality. They remind us of the responsibility we all share to complete that journey, no matter how long, no matter how difficult, and no matter how perilous. This year, we also celebrate the 25th anniversary of the achievement of democracy. We celebrate 25 years of freedom. We celebrate the fact that South Africa today is a better place, a nation united in its diversity, working together to overcome the injustices of the past. It is a nation that is founded on a democratic and progressive constitution that guarantees equal rights to all our people. It is a nation with strong and durable democratic institutions that has an independent judiciary, a free media, and active civil society. Over the 25 years, working together, we have given substance to the promise of a better life for our people. Vanhu vo tala va hina va la Afrika-Dzonga va swi tiva ku ri ANC I va tirhele swinene. Swo tala leswi swi nga endliwa hi ANC ku ri vutomi bya bona bya mahlweni kahle. ANC leyi I ake tindlu ta 4.7 ya timiliyoni. Ku hava yin'wana leyi tivaka la Afrika I nga aka tindlu to tala hi leswi nga endliwa hi ANC. ANC yi endle ku ri ku va na gezi atindlwini ta hina. Hi 1994 vanhu a va ri na gezi a va nga talanga. Nyamutlha vanhu vo tala bana gesi atindlwini ta vona, vanhu vo tala vana mati atindlwini ta vona, na hambi kwa hatika etindhaweni to talanyana ku ri mati ya va kona. ANC karhi ya tirha ya lunghisa ku ri vanhu va hina va kuma swa khwatsi evutomini bya vona. We have transformed the future of millions of young people by expanding enrollment in schools, universities, colleges, and early childhood development. Nyamutla vanhu va hina lava nghenaka xikolo va nghena xikolo hi ku tala, hi ku minyangu ya ku nghena xikolo se yi pfiriwile. We have expanded access to health care. We have increased average life expectancy, reduced maternal mortality, and turned the tide on HIV and AIDS epidemic. Our economy has tripled in size since 1994, and over 7 million more South Africans have jobs. La ho le jwalo, mesebetsi ena e mengata e re entseng ka nnete ya bonahala, empa re a tseba hore la ho le jwalo batho ba bangata ba rona ba ntse ba hula ka thata, ba ntse ba hloka mesebetsi, ba ntse ba hloka dintho tse ngata, ba hloka dintlo. Ntho eno ra e tseba ke yona e ANC e ikemiseditseng hore e lokise. Even as we celebrate the great benefits of democracy, we know that the promise of freedom is yet to be realized by so many of our people. Even as we applaud the great progress that has been made, we must acknowledge that mistakes have been made in some areas where transformation has not moved forward. Siyazi ukuthi uma siloku sisebenza silungisa izinto endleleni kuye kwaba nokungaphethi kahle zonke izinto ebesifanele ukuthi sizenze, kuye kwaba nalapho singazanga sisebenze siqede kahle. Manje ikongolose izimisele ukuthi imisebenzi eminingi esasekhona siphethe siqede ngendlela eqondile. Siyesa kwazi ukuthi sizihlole thina ngokwethu, sizibhekisise kahle, sibone lapho la senze amaphutha khona. Kube namaphutha esiye sawayenza, kodwa ke sizibeka kumphakathi sethi yebo amaphutha ethu siwabonile, sifuna ukuthi umphakathi uphinde usithembe ukuthi siqhubeke nalomsebenzi omuhle esawuqala ngo-1994. Riadiba uri hoba na zwifhinga zwe ra si kone u ita zwoṱhe zwe ra vha ro fanela uri zwi ite, fhedzi zwino ro ḓiimisela uri ri ise mishumo yavhuḓi phanḓa. Kha miṅwaha heinoni yo fhelaho ho vhona uri nga ngoho mishumo ya uri vhutshilo ha vhathu vhashu vhu vhe khwine ndi mishumo ine ya fanela uri ri ḓiimisele nga ngoho ri ite mishumo yoṱhe nga u ḓisumbedza uri mishumo heinoni ri ḓo i kona. We are here today to present a plan that we have forged together to respond to the great challenges of the present, the challenges of unemployment, the challenges of inequality, the challenges of poverty. Today, as the African National Congress, we launch our 2019 election manifesto. We do so at a crucial moment in the history of our nation. After a period of doubt and uncertainty, we have arrived at a moment of hope and renewal. The 2019 elections provide us with an opportunity to restore our democratic institutions and to return our country to a path of transformation and development. This moment that we are in now provides us an opportunity to place the country's future in the hands of those who believe in it the most, the voters. Ha re kena sebakeng sena, re ho batho ba South Africa, re kene nakong e bohlokwa haholo. Hona jwale ha re sheba, re fumana hore ho na le tshepo ka nnete lefatsheng lena la rona. Tshepo ya batho ba heso e nyolohile. Jwale re re tshepo eno e ho lona le batho ba South Africa. Rona kajeno re ntsha manifesto ena ya rona. Through our 2019 manifesto, the ANC is making a call on all South Africans, black and white, young and old, urban and rural. We're making a call that we should work together to grow South Africa, that we should work together to grow the opportunities available to our people. Let us grow the economy so that all may have decent jobs and an improving quality of life. Sithi asikhulise lwati lwethu nebuchwepheshe bethu sikwazi ukuthi masiqhubeka abantu bakithi babe nakho ukuthi bahambele baye phambili. Asikhulise njengesive, sihloniphe amalungelo alabanye futhi sitimisele ngokutiniketela lo sitho leli tawuphucula timpilo tabantu labasha. Let us grow our knowledge and our capabilities and develop the skills that will propel our young people into a new age of discovery. Let us grow as individuals, respectful of the rights of others. At the center of our manifesto is really a plan to create many more jobs and ensure that all workers can earn a decent living. We live in a country, by the broader definition, where over 9 million South Africans are unemployed. Out of every 10 young South Africans, 4 are neither in employment nor education or training. This is a tragedy of vast proportions, a direct challenge to the promise of our democratic constitution and the cause of great hardship and despair. Umsebenzi omkhulu esinawo ukuthi umnotho waleli lakithi sukhulise kube umnotho ozokwazi ukuthi wakhe imisebenzi. That is the most pressing task that our country faces at this point in time. We want to mobilize more investments into our economy so that both government and business should increase their level of investment in our economy. We have a plan to ensure that investment can improve. We have a plan to raise 1.3 trillion rand in new investments over the next 5 years. Working with all social partners, we will intensify our efforts to restore investor confidence in our country. We will implement reforms in economic sectors that have greatest potential to grow and create jobs. We will take measures to lower the cost of doing business in South Africa and increase productivity and improve competitiveness. We will implement the agreements that were reached at the Presidential Job Summit last year by boosting local demand for jobs, investing more in sectors such as mining, manufacturing, agriculture, and all other sectors such as tourism. We will also expand our export markets. We estimate that when we implement all these commitments and interventions, we will be able to create up to 275 additional jobs each year. This we will be able to do, nearly doubling the annual rate of employment creation. We will proceed with the establishment of infrastructure fund, in which we will pool government's infrastructure and use it to raise additional funds from other public-private sources to build roads. Roads are one of the most needed facilities in our country. When you go around our rural areas, our townships, that is where you find that we actually need more roads. And that is where we want to build roads so that our people can travel in better comfort. We will build rail lines. We will also extend broadband networks. As we reduce also the price of data, particularly for young people who have raised this with us continuously. We will continue to build hospitals, schools, dams. There are a number of places in our country that still need dams. We are going to be focused through the infrastructure fund that we've put together to build these dams that our people have been waiting for so long. I think here of our people in the Eastern Cape who are still waiting for the Umzimvubu Dam, and that is another project that we will tackle. I think of our people in Guyana who are still waiting for better water to flow through their taps. That we will also do. This we will do as we grow the economy of our country. Today we are launching a manifesto for an inclusive economy. For centuries, the majority of South Africans have been deliberately excluded from economic activity, dispossessed of land, deprived of skills, and forcibly settled far from economic opportunities. This exclusion is greatest amongst women, rural people, and the youth. This exclusion is the exclusion that we intend to bring to an end. Sizokwakha umnotho welizwe lapho abantu bekuthi bazoba nesabelo esibonakalayo. Sizokusiza ababereki babe nezibelo emafemini apho babereka khona, bakwazi ukuthi bathole inzuzo kulawo mafemi lapho babereka khona. We will open up markets for new emerging companies by ending monopolies and behavior that stifles competition. Ons sal meer vroumense, meer plattelandse mense en meer jong mense en de economie trek deur toegang tot digitale opleiding aan jong mense uit te brei deur tegnologiese en digitale ondernemers te ontwikkel en te ondersteun en 'n meer gemeenslike fokus op klein maatskappye, korporasies en ook maatskappye wat in ons townships en dorpondernemings. We will use this for a few years. Through this manifesto, we are going to make sure that indeed we utilize government procurement to ensure that indeed we do benefit small and medium enterprises, particularly those enterprises that operate in our townships and in our rural areas. Our manifesto has a specific focus on economies of our townships and villages. Ahuna kgwebo e botse mo bathong ba rena ba dulago kwa makeisheneng le kwa magaeng. Re tla dia hore go be le kgwebo kwa magaeng le mo makeisheneng gore batho ba kgone go hwetša memmereko le gona ba age di-business tsa bona kwa magaeng le mo makeišeneng. Se re tla se dira ka gobane go tshwanetse gore re ise ikonomi ena ya rena kwa pele. To this day, townships and villages remain dormitories for most of our people, far from economic opportunities and often without adequate social amenities. We will encourage the growth of enterprises in these areas through a dedicated fund that supports the development of industrial parks, business centers, and incubation centers as well. We will step up enforcement of measures to prevent illegal trading and selling of counterfeit and unsafe products. We are finding that in our townships and in the rural areas, there are many businesses that operate without permits, illegally, and everybody just arrives in our townships and rural areas and set up businesses without licenses and permits. We are going to bring this to an end. And those who are operating illegally, wherever they come from, must now know that we are going to enforce permits and make sure that people who operate businesses do indeed have trading licenses. We will also prevent displacement of local enterprises by big retail stores and will ensure that small producers have a place in their retail value chains. The lack of funding for small enterprises, township and village businesses is something that we are going to address in a focused manner. We will also want finance for housing for our people where they live. We will work with commercial private banks and other financial institutions on ways to expand access to funding and capital for such businesses and individuals so that they may unleash their economic and social potential. From its formation, the African National Congress has fought to undo a grave historical injustice and give effect to what the Freedom Charter set out, that land must be shared amongst those who work it. In this manifesto, we outline elements of a plan to accelerate land reform, making use of a range of complementary measures, including, where appropriate, expropriation of land without compensation. We will continue to promote a range of land ownership forms: public, private, cooperative, family, and communal. We will implement measures to promote urban agriculture and community food gardens, to promote national food and security with a view of reducing hunger. Our approach to land reform is guided by our Constitution and by the need to advance economic development, as well as economic agricultural production, as well as food security. We are building a developmental state that puts people first and has dedicated public servants who work diligently to ensure that we improve the lives of our people. Many of our public servants are people who are committed and dedicated professionals who do perform their tasks with diligence and faithfully. However, as we go around our country and as our people interface and go with government and go to government facilities, they often find that a number of civil servants are indifferent to the needs and concerns of citizens. And this has led to the deterioration in the quality of services and assistance that is rendered. Now, we want this to change. This will change because we want civil servants who are committed to serving the people of South Africa and not themselves. We want civil servants who are going to put the interests of our people first and not themselves and their friends and their relatives. Civil servants must serve the people of our country with commitment and diligence, but also serve them with humility, with respect, with honesty, and make sure that they are effective agents of transformation. We want, as they work to implement government programs, they must handle things such as land claims that must be processed faster. I once encountered a worrying process here in KwaZulu-Natal where a land claim of the community called the Mkwanazi clan had laid fallow for almost 9 years. And it was only when we put pressure on them that they were able to meet what they needed to do in 6 months. Now we want civil servants who from now are going to commit themselves to do things much better, faster, and in a simpler way. We want our civil servants to speed up the process of processing title deeds. We want civil servants who are also going to work on a whole number of other projects quickly. We want them to be able to distribute textbooks in our schools on time so that our young people can get their books on time. This is what we want our civil servants to do quickly. We also want our civil servants to make sure that they also deliver medical services and medicines to those who need them in a speedy fashion. For decades, our movement has been defined by selfless service to the people of our country. We therefore will not tolerate those in the public service or in political office who are negligent or who use public resources for their own selfish ends. Legislation and regulations already exist that prevents public servants from doing business with the state. And we are saying civil servants must stop doing business with the government. They are employed by the government, and your job is to make sure that we serve the people of our country. If you want to be in business, yes, step out and become a business person. Don't mix doing business together with serving the people of our country. We are going to implement that legislation. We are warning that there will be considerable consequences to those who do not comply. South Africa will not succeed in our efforts to rebuild the country if we do not support, all of us, the building and the development of a capable public service. Public servants implement the transformation projects that change lives, and that is what we want them to focus on. It is not surprising that citizens protest when projects are stalled, they are delayed, and services are not able to reach the people of our country. We cannot and will not allow situations where government fails the people of South Africa. So we call on all the civil servants to make sure that indeed they do commit themselves to serving our people. We call on all our people to join us in this endeavor to build a capable and ethical state, and to ensure that those who are responsible for stealing both public resources as well as stealing the opportunities that many of our people should have are brought to book. Through this manifesto, we anticipate a skills revolution in our country by opening up the doors of learning to all. We are beginning to focus on quality and innovation. We will make sure that we equip young South Africans for the world of tomorrow. This year we celebrate the progress we have made in matric results last year. We congratulate the class of 2018. Our matric learners achieved one of the highest results yet, 78.2%. We congratulate Gauteng, that came number 1. We say, we thank you for your hard work. We also congratulate, yes, those provinces that also performed well. KwaZulu-Natal We congratulate you for having shown great improvement, and we look forward to KZN reaching up to 80% in matric pass rates. When you look at the matric results, you will see that KwaZulu-Natal produced the biggest number of matriculants who passed. We congratulate you for having done precisely that. Free education for students from poor and working class backgrounds will be expanded this year to cover both first and second year students, and we will be progressively rolled out over the next few years. We congratulate the young people of our country for having made a call on their government for free education. And free education is now being implemented on a progressive basis. So we applaud you. Say forward with education, forward. Forward with education, forward. The available support that we give to our young people extends to accommodation, to transport and study materials for qualifying students at both public TVET colleges and universities. Many generations of young people fought hard for the ideal of free education, and we recognize the task and the struggle that you have waged to reach that point. We applaud you for that. Our education in the end must prepare young people for the workplace that is being rapidly transformed by technological change. Occupations that have existed for decades may not exist tomorrow. Skills that are taught today may have little value in the near future. We must prepare for the world of work of tomorrow. The ANC will ensure our education curriculum at all levels prepares young learners for rapid technological advances and the changing of the nature of work. We will scale up skills development for the youth in data analytics, in coding, in the Internet of Things, in blockchain, as well as machine learning. Lapho sifuna ukuthi abasha mabeqeqeshwa baqeqeshelwe lama technology amatsha ama technology akusasa. Singuhulumeni sesibonile ukuthi ngempela sifanele ukuthi silungise ulutsha lwanamhlanje for ikusasa ozayo. Sizayenza njalo ukuthi imfundo yabantwana bethu kube imfundo ekhuphukile. Ikolo zethu sikwazi ukuthi sithole lento esibiza i-ICT. We are going to be working on a massive plan to make sure that we roll out ICT technology in our schools, because we want to better prepare our young people for the world of tomorrow. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and we will not only get our country to be part of it, but we must participate in it actively. We will scale up skills development for the youth in all important areas. A social plan will be designed to address retraining and support of workers that could potentially be displaced by new technologies. Government will open up opportunities for young people to develop new software and applications, also new devices and equipment through specialized startup support programs. Ridori hezi richita zote hezi. Ridoringeza ngandira zote uri rithuse baswa uri bachitangana na technology ntswa bakono bana ndivo yo felelaho ya ushumisa michini na zote ziswa zwine zwa khou ḓo swika which is the fourth industrial revolution. It is unacceptable that access to healthcare services remains dependent on a person's social and economic circumstances, with poor people still struggling to access quality, reliable care. The introduction of the National Health Insurance will correct this injustice. We will finalize the enabling legislation for the NHI and make sure that everyone has access to quality health care regardless of their ability to pay. This is a revolutionary shift which requires that we promote social solidarity and work towards the cross-subsidization of services, where those who can afford to pay more to assist those who cannot pay, where the young subsidize the old, where the healthy subsidize the sick, where the rich subsidize the poor. This is the solidarity ethos that we want to promote in South Africa. We want to be a country where we should know, as citizens of this country, that we must all work together in solidarity with one another. And it is in the health sector where we want this to be played out. The National Health Insurance is going to be the one area where solidarity is demonstrated in real practice. The journey to universal health care has to start with deliberate efforts to address the immediate crisis in the public health system, to tackle such issues as corruption, poor financial management, human resource planning, training, and maintenance and infrastructure. Right now, we know that many of our health facilities, our hospitals, our clinics are not at the level where we want them to be. We have realized this crisis, and we, through this manifesto, are going to attend to making sure that our healthcare system becomes the healthcare system that all of us as South Africans can be proud of. Sifuna ukuthi ukubandlulula kwe-apartheid kuyayizolo olwayenze ukuthi abantu abampofu nabasebenzi bahlaliswe kude nalabo abasebenza khona sifuna ukuthi bangasahambi amahora amaningi. We want the legacy of apartheid to be history. We want our people to live close to their economic zones where they work, so that the negative effects on the quality of their lives should be reduced. We will improve access to safe, affordable, reliable transport, and among others, we will be investing in rail infrastructure, as well as to work with the taxi industry to ensure that we have a much more safer and reliable system of transporting our people. The programs to provide social assistance to the most marginalized in society will continue. Household food security will be tackled head-on. Public employment programs will be scaled up, and initiatives to ensure sustainable livelihoods will also be intensified. The ANC is committed to a more equal, more just, and more humane society where all citizens can live freely and prosper. Amongst other things, this means that we must prioritize the rights of women and end discrimination and prevent violence against women and girls. We have made huge strides. We've made huge strides in improving the position of women in society, using our constitution, our legislation and policies to tackle discrimination and to increase representation within the leadership of our movement in our public institutions. However, gender-based violence has become a national crisis, and we now need to be more determined to end the violence that is being perpetrated against the women of our country. We need to end the femicide, the killing, and the rape of the women of our country, and make sure that they live in peace, safety, and dignity. We call on all South Africans to work together to end gender-based violence and the patriarchal practices that give rise to it. The emancipation of women requires a change in attitudes and the material conditions that perpetuate the oppression and marginalization of the women of our country. We will work more closely with all stakeholders to implement the range of interventions that were adopted at last year's Gender-Based Violence Summit, including finalizing the National Plan on Gender-Based Violence, and to set up the structure that the women of our country have said we should set up to focus more on gender-based violence. It is important that children learn from a young age to respect one another as equals and not to resort to violence in situations of stress and conflict. The ANC supports the calls for stricter bail conditions and harsher sentences for perpetrators of gender-based violence and sexual assault. Sithi mababoshwe bangayitholi lula ibail labo abahlukumeza abantu besifazane. More and better skilled police and prosecution authorities are needed to improve the capacity to investigate and prosecute all crimes, especially gender-based violence and sexual assault. Sifuna ukuthi mabaya enkantolo sikwazi make sure ukuthi ngempela amacala abo azawuqhubeka, kungabi lamacala la sizothola ukuthi idocket ilahlekile, sizothola ukuthi awaqhubeki lawo macala. Sithi mababoshwe, face the consequences of their evil deeds. Gender-based violence indeed is a national crisis, This is where we need the Thuma Mina commitment to end abuse of women and children. Now, today, because this is a real big national crisis, I want to call on the men of our country, the men who are here today, to please stand up on your feet right now so that we can make a commitment to the women of our country. Everyone who is a man, let us stand up and make a clear commitment that as the men of South Africa, we will end gender-based violence. Sizawuthi Thuma Mina to end gender-based violence. By standing up today, we are taking, as the men of South Africa, an important step to begin the process of addressing this national crisis and making sure gender-based violence become history in our country, because we should not be defined as a country where women are raped and where women are killed on a continuous basis. I applaud you, the men of our country, for standing up. Thank you very much. Thuma Mina, siyabonga. We are also concerned about the effect of drugs on our communities. Drugs are a danger to communities because they destroy lives, often young lives. They tear families apart. They feed a culture of violence and enable a spread of gangsterism. We will improve our social and criminal justice response to the scourge of drugs and alcohol abuse. Through the National Drug Master Plan, we will expand recreational facilities and diversion programs so that we can ensure that those who have become dependent on drugs and alcohol are given the necessary treatment. We will also ensure greater cooperation in diagnosing and treating substance dependence. This is part of the work we must all do to build a society where everyone is able to walk the streets, to play and to work at all hours of the day without any fear. We will strengthen police visibility in our communities by increasing the number of policemen and women. The challenge that many communities are facing of gang violence is something that we are now going to address more pointedly to make sure that we bring the gang violence to an end and we actually bring those gangs to an end. The police will be better trained to investigate cases and improve success rates, and there will be better cooperation between prosecutors and investigators. We will continue to intensify efforts in areas where we have made progress, such as stemming the tide of political killings, particularly here in KwaZulu-Natal. We are grateful that the police here in KwaZulu-Natal have been able to focus on these political killings that have been taking place here. We applaud the police of our country for the wonderful work that they have been doing, but especially in arresting those who have been involved in killings here in KwaZulu-Natal. The number of political killings has significantly. However, one political killing is one too many. As a society, we must show no tolerance for these acts, and our agencies must not hesitate in prosecuting perpetrators of such heinous crimes. Too often we hear how the criminal justice system does not respond to people's needs. We hear stories of policemen and women who work in cahoots with criminals. We hear, as I said, of dockets that go missing. We hear of women who are being turned away when reporting incidents of gender-based violence. This must change, and this will change. The ANC government will employ more police personnel and increase training that is given to the police and others in the criminal justice system. We are also going to improve the cooperation between the different elements of criminal justice. We are going to make sure that police forensic services, prosecutors, and others cooperate more and work together to improve the success rates and secure more convictions. We call on all South Africans to strengthen community policy forums and community safety forums as well. All of us must know our neighbors and be concerned about their lives. In other countries, people are always there to support one another. They know each other as neighbors, and that increases our safety consciousness. Effective border management is another area that we are going to attend to, because it is important as an aspect of ensuring that the country and its people are safe. The ANC will improve cooperation with other countries in the region to ensure that we put in place a more effective system to manage migration, so that those who want to come to our country as immigrants must be people who will have all the necessary approvals, so that we manage migration with all the neighbors that we have in a proper manner to reduce the extent of illegal immigrants who come to South Africa. This is what many countries do. We want to make sure that, yes, as we welcome other people from other countries, we do indeed make sure that we do it in cooperation with our neighbors. Our success as a country is linked to the progress of our neighbors and the rest of the African continent. As an integral member of the global community, it is in our interest to promote a global order that is fair, that is just, that is democratic, and based on rules that are acceptable to all nations. At a time of growing nationalism around the world, we will work with other progressive forces to bring about a more humane global order through multilateral institutions such as the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, and global financial institutions. South Africa will continue to campaign along with other international partners for the democratization of multilateral bodies. We will use our country's tenure as a member of the United Nations Security Council to contribute to the creation of global peace, security, and prosperity. We will continue to pursue economic integration, cross-border infrastructure investment, and industrial development across the continent of Africa. We will work through the African Union to silence the guns of war and entrench democracy and promote development throughout our continent. We are resolute in our support for the aspirations of the people of Palestine and our condemnation of the occupation of the territory and the suppression of their rights. We will do whatever is within our means to promote a just and peaceful resolution of the conflict, which leads to the creation of a viable Palestinian state alongside and in harmony with the state of Israel. The struggle for self-determination by the people of Sahrawi people is our struggle. We stand alongside Polisario Front and also the leaders of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic in their struggle for full sovereignty over all their territory. We will work through the African Union and indeed the United Nations for the liberation of Western Sahara and the last colony on the African continent. We reiterate our support for the people of Cuba and will continue calling for a complete and unconditional end to an illegal and immoral blockade of Cuba. Comrades and friends, the January 8th statement is traditionally used as an opportunity to identify the tasks for the ANC in the year ahead. We have come out of a process where we are continuing to strengthen our organization, where we are strengthening our renewal process, where we are also uniting the African National Congress. The unity of the ANC must be seen as sacrosanct. The unity of the African National Congress is the foundation upon which the ANC was built in promoting our vision of a free and equal society and in advancing the renewal of our movement. The following priority tasks have been identified by the National Executive Committee for 2019. We will mobilize for a decisive victory for the African National Congress in 2019 elections. We will make sure that the ANC emerges victorious in the elections that we are going to. Vote ANC. Now is the time. Vote ANC. Comrades, we are called upon by the leadership of our movement to ensure that the ANC remains the most effective vehicle to unite the broad section of society in our country, and all structures, members, and public representatives must work diligently to ensure that the ANC receives a clear mandate to intensify the efforts to build a better life for all the people of our country. We will soon release the list of those who are going to represent you in our parliament, who will also represent you in our provincial legislatures. These will be men and women who will dedicate themselves to go and work hard to see to the attainment of the ideals of the National Democratic Revolution. We must intensify the renewal of our branches. Our branches are the basic unit of the ANC. The ANC is issuing tasks to our branches. All leaders and members should focus, yes, their efforts on making sure that our branches remain strong organs of civil society, that our branches reflect the broader composition of the communities where they are located, and that they lead in addressing community concerns. Our branches must get involved in the lives of our people. They must embark on campaigns that are going to improve the lives of our people. We will work more diligently to ensure that factionalism, to ensure that gatekeeping, patronage, and other deviant practices are eradicated in our branches. We must make sure that our branches become strong branches of the unity and represent the unity of the African National Congress. We must also intensify the fight against corruption in government, yes, in the ANC and across society. Members of the ANC working with communities and various sectors of society should expose corruption as well as state capture, understanding that our efforts will be met with resistance by those who still want to benefit from corrupt deeds. We will organize against social ills such as gender-based violence, substance abuse, and racism. This struggle must be led by our branches. Our branches have a task to ensure that they embark on campaigns that are going to act against gender-based violence. We will lead also the process of nation building. All ANC members must be at the forefront of the efforts to build a non-racial society and wage war on all forms of ethnic and racial chauvinism. We must ensure that both the structures of the ANC and those of our representative bodies reflect the diverse non-racial nature of our society. We will focus on the task of building a better Africa and a better world through forging stronger partnerships with progressive formations and government across the world. We will actively campaign for the interests of Africa and developing countries on all international platforms that we participate in. As we mark the anniversary of the ANC's formation, we honor the courage and the dedication and selfless service of those activists who passed away over the past year. We dip our banner, comrades, in honor of the giants and stalwarts such as Umama Winnie Mandela, Umendi Msimang, Agnes Msimang, Edna Molewa, George Chane, Obrahuma Sekela, Sondeni Veronica Sobukwe, Zola Squia, Eric Mchali, Mos Chikani, Billy Mudise, Achisibeko, Joyce Mashamba, Duman Deleni, Eddie Funde, George Nene, Reverend Chris Vessels, Philemon Muletsani, Kabisi Musunkutu, Koni Bapela, Stephen Gawe, Buisa Fazi, John Ninana, Galo Vetu, Fezeka Loliwe, Flip Pothiter, Trudy Thomas, Sipo Kotlakala, Monde Dukase, Mzimasi Kuku, Ndumiso Batali, Manda, Makupula, Nabanye Abaningi. We pay tribute to them and we say, may your souls rest in peace. We want to console their families as the African National Congress. Their contribution to the struggle for human and social relations must continue to guide and inspire our actions. During the struggle for freedom, the African National Congress have bestowed the highest order, Isitwalandwe, Siaparankwe, on cadres who have made outstanding contributions to the liberation struggle. These cadres, as illustrated by the literal translation of Isitwalandwe, are the ones who wear the plumes of the rare bird, our national bird, the blue crane, and have themselves shown to be amongst the bravest warriors of our people in pursuit of social justice. The ANC National Executive Committee has decided, comrades, to bestow Isitwalandwe Siaparankwe upon the following leaders of our movement. Isitwalandwe will be bestowed posthumously on Umama Uwini Matikizela Mandela. We will also today bestow Isitwalandwe on Umama Unontsikelelo Albertina Sisulu. We will also bestow Siaparankwe on our departed comrade, Ahmed Timol. We will also bestow Isitwalandwe on the founder of the ANC Women's League, Umama Charlotte Maxeke. Isitwalandwe will also be bestowed on other comrades who are still with us. Dennis Goldberg, who was a Rivonia trialist, Nabotatu Matiba, will be bestowed Isitwalandwe. We will also bestow Siaparankwe, Mo Comrade Warina, Comrade John Kadime. We will also lastly bestow Isitwalandwe on Comrade Sophie Debray, who was there when the women marched on the Union buildings. All ANC members, indeed all South Africans, should strive to emulate the example of selfless service and dedication set by these great leaders. In recognition of the tasks that we must undertake together. The ANC this year declares 2019 as the year of united action to grow South Africa. This year is the year where we all take united action to grow our country, South Africa. Today, we are issuing a call on all the people of South Africa to join us, strive to accelerate change in our country as we strive to build an inclusive economy that creates decent jobs, and as we work towards a better future for our children. Today we say to all freedom-loving South Africans, let us grow South Africa together. Let us grow South Africa. The story of Nelson Mandela, Oliver Tambo, Lillian Ngoyi, Joe Slovo, Chris Hani, Moses Mabida, Harry Gwala, Helen Joseph, and many other leaders that we have had in our country. With those words, comrades, we present to you this January 8th statement as well as the manifesto, saying that this manifesto must then be utilized by all of us as a campaigning tool as we go from village to village, township to township, house to house, door to door, household to household, campaigning for the victory of the African National Congress. In the 2019 elections, we also call on all of us to make sure that those who have not yet registered go ahead and register, particularly the young people of our country. We still have close on to 3 million young people who have not yet registered. We call on all of us and those who are watching at home to make sure that indeed the youth of our country do go and register, so that when we declare the date of elections, everybody is ready to go and vote. So let us go and work for the victory of the African National Congress, because we know the African National Congress is going to achieve an overwhelming victory in these elections that are coming. Nieba Sabana! Nieba Sabana! Masambenige to go and vote for the ANC. Vote ANC! Now is the time. Vote ANC. Amandla. Amandla. Long live the spirit of Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the spirit of Albertina Sisulu, long live. Amandla. Yabonga.
Amanda.